Okay, can we start? I know I'm like 10 weeks in, so I'm new and you guys are old, but I kind of need to know where we're at in the world. And Roberta, I'm sure you probably do this every day with every new agent who teaches, but what's your background?
Okay, so I came from Royal LePage.
Me too.
I know. We actually have
Me too.
We know somebody you're going.
I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you in Julie's capable, wonderful hands.
Lizanne and I were also at Royal LePage.
Yes,
So.
yes. And you guys will learn a ton about negotiating. So I will see you on Friday.
Yes.
Second to last session.
Yeah.
And fill in your board. And I want some appointments and some agent open houses and stuff. Those are like easy, like note cards. Those are the easy stuff. Yeah, man.
So yeah, we actually have a friend you can call Nicole Emerson.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
She's
so-
fabulous.
Yeah, she is.
So were you at the old office? Like,
I was at the Kingsway office.
okay,
And then left. I live in the West End, so I left.
Right.
To another Royal LePage office there, but I had heard really good things about this office.
Right.
Moved here. So I've been in real estate.
when did you move here?
September.
Oh, cool. It was a good move. We've been talking all about it, our team. It's like the best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We love it.
And I've been in real estate for 9.5 years
Cool,
and have not developed very good habits.
right? But we're not going to affirm that, right? We're going to be like, you're learning new habits.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're open to new habits.
Yeah, I'm very open to new habits, and I've learned a lot since I've been here. It's
Oh,
been
good.
Amazing.
Cool.
And everyone is just so kind and supportive, and giving me this and giving me that, and I love it. So yeah, it's been really good.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good to take the big step, I know it's not easy to get out of your comfort zone and change and.
Well, I've been I've always was with Royal LePage. I mean, I was
Right.
at different offices, but I stayed with that brand. And
Yeah.
then
I know, it's big. I was 21 years there. I was like hard.
Yeah.
But that's cool. New days. Joe, tell us your story.
Well, I'm brand new to the industry.
How new?
3 weeks.
Wow. You got your license 3 weeks ago?
Yep, the 25th of September.
All right. All right. Good for you.
So,
Did you have a drink? Did you celebrate? And you said, phew, thank God it's done. It's a bit of a brutal course now, right? It's like much harder than when I did it. At least I hear that. I don't know.
so I'm just getting started with the cold calling and the door knocking. And prior to that, I was with a telecommunications company.
Mm-hmm.
More like customer service role.
Right? Hey. James, are you sitting in with us today?
Done. I'm ready to go.
So you're door knocking? Where are you door knocking?
I have been door knocking in Old Western Road in St. Clair area.
Is that your comfort zone or is that
No, I was given a suggestion to go there, so I have
right?
going there.
Cool.
I got some traction, so I kept going.
Nice. Good for you. And cold calling, how do you cold call?
How do I cold call?
Like where do you get the names?
So Andy provides me the names of the scrub against the do not call list.
Oh,
And just,
we love Andy. Isn't that amazing? That's cool. I didn't know you did that. So Mariana, tell us about you.
Well, I've been in business for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Been to Keller Williams for a year, a little more,
Right?
and I love it. I've been with Remax, then a few years at Smart Choice Realty,
Mm-hmm.
and then here.
And how do you get your business?
Mostly cold calling. That's
Really, eh?
yeah.
You don't mind cold calling?
I don't mind cold calling.
Takes all kinds, eh, in this business.
I don't mind cold calling.
Good for you.
The trick is following up. This
Right.
is what I really struggle.
Right.
Like
But we're not affirming we're struggling, right?
Struggling.
We're changing our habits. This is where you used to struggle, but now you don't, right?
And I also do door knocks,
Right.
but I don't mind cold calling at all.
And is it in a certain neighborhood that you cold call?
Yes, the first, like the neighborhood neighborhoods that I go to a lot, or that I know people that live
Like
there,
which ones?
or around where I live. Like,
Where's that?
Okay, Eglinton, Scarlet.
Right?
That's or my old farm area where I lived there for 20 years. Then I slacked,
Right?
and after Barb Best was here,
Yeah?
I got
In- in-
inspired again.
Nice.
And I'm gonna clean that area because I looked at the market share
Yeah.
with the apartment buildings and the houses. I actually, over the years of 17 years, I have the biggest market share.
See, there you go. Nice.
Crazy. So yeah, I'm going back there.
Good for you.
And I was kind of, not a, that's not a good word, but I thought, oh, there's not too much turnover, so, you know, why am I wasting time? Better find another farm area. So I was jumping back and forth and like, yeah.
It's amazing how it's true. We're not like in the States where you have like these subdivisions that move so fast, you know. So when I was like picking Ronces, I was like, that doesn't move very fast. But there's enough houses that there's lots
That's
of
enough, you know, if I
there's
can
lots
do
of people
this,
who
then-
sell in
yeah,
there.
exactly.
You'd be surprised. So good for you. And Marianne and I were at Bold on Monday. Were you, either of you guys at the free day? Next time. Have you heard about it?
Oh, yes.
So it's a free first day, and you learn sort of the first sets. And some people had not even had their license, and they started there. So they were like in, and it's, you know, a lot of life lessons. You know, KW is a lot about personally improving yourself rather than just your business, right? Like the happier you are, the better you are in business and stuff. So anyway, it's very inspiring, and then you get all these groups together, and you're like surrounded by all these people with really great energy, and they're all making 100 calls a week, doing 13 deals in 7 weeks.
How many bowls have you done?
I've done a lot of the first and last days because my team was there, and I've done Bold once. So
Are you doing it, Mariana?
yeah,
doing it.
she signed up.
Oh, good for you.
I know, take that step.
Take that step, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
And Collie's done it twice on our team. Tyler's done it. It's good. It's surprisingly, you know, you get into good habits. Remember how you know, you go from calling people like once a day to, you know, 20 a day. It's a big difference. And the good part is then you get to negotiate the deals, right? So did any of you guys do your homework for today? Did you read through the negotiating? God, geez, I did my homework.
I just came to see.
Well, to give you a quick background, I'm in my 25th year in the business. My mother was a realtor, so when I was a kid, I used to hang out in her real estate office. I grew up in Lawrence Park in North Toronto, and I never wanted to practice real estate there because the homes were way more expensive, and I was like 23 when I started, and it just wasn't my scene at all. So I came out to the West End. I went to Mississauga. I'd never been in Mississauga in my life. I'd never been west of Bathurst probably in my life. Like I was, you know, Bayview, Lawrence, that sort of area. But I liked the houses here, and I liked High Park, and I knew High Park. And so I interviewed at the Royal LePage on Bloor Street, and she said, "Where's your farm area?" And I'm like, I don't know anything about this neighborhood, like zero. I have never been here in my entire life. And she's like, okay, well, pick one. So I walked around the neighborhood, and I found, and what I really did is, because I'm really not into farming, so it didn't last very long, but I did decide that I was going to buy my first house on this cute little street that I saw when I could buy my first house. You know, I was really young then, couldn't afford it yet. And it was Medlin Crescent, and I swore the next house that was going to come up, I bought it, and I did. 2 years later, the next house that came up. Loved it. And, you know, you put your dreams out there, and they come to reality. It's really cool. So got into real estate, got into Royal LePage, did my thing. I was very slow. So, you know, you don't have to worry about feeling like you've got bad habits and stuff. I did not get to success overnight. I mean, I did maybe 12 deals my first year. Average sale price was $175,000. Very low commission. I almost got out of the business. Very challenging because I didn't think I could make money. You know, I was making like $30,000 a year and spending it all on my marketing and signs and car and, you know, business cards and all that stuff. So I joined Theodore Babiak, and I was his sort of, it was before team, so I was kind of his partner, junior partner. He and I kind of developed a few systems together, but my goal was to do 100 deals a year, and I partnered up with somebody who was already doing that. I'm like, I'm going to learn how to do that, so how am I going to do it? I'm going to be his, you know, slave, basically. And, you know, it opened, you're busy, right? It teaches you how to be busy and juggle a lot and handle a lot of clients all at the same time. So I did that for 3 years. And then I had built my own business up sort of parallel to him, and then was able to go on my own. And a couple of years later, I got my first assistant, and then a buyer's agent, and then another buyer's agent, another assistant, and I slowly grew my team. And, so the rest is history. I did well, very proud of our accomplishments, but mainly because we do it based on trust and, authenticity and caring about your clients, giving the advice you would give your friends or family. And negotiating is totally tied into that. When you're negotiating, it's a win-win. It's a positive experience. Developing relationships with other realtors is a positive experience. You know what I mean? It should be. You're all in the same business and you're all trying to get to the same end result, right? And things come up, and right now, and this year was a good example of things coming up, like scary stuff was coming up. And things will, issues will always come up when you're negotiating for the buyers. Like, for example, the financing is becoming a huge issue. Like we were dealing with a lot of issues closing, like how to keep deals together after when the prices didn't appraise out, all that kind of stuff. So you're negotiating those kind of things. There's inclusions, there's home inspections, there's, like just the other day, for example, a good example of negotiating was somebody gave me a bully offer on a listing. What do? So then you have to sort of negotiate with that agent, the buyer's agent. There's never the right answer. That's what I would say about this business. There's never the right answer. My path is not your path. It's not your path. Like, even in real estate, like, every situation is different. We're all unique. We're all emotional and financial, right? There's a lot of different rules that have come sort of through different scenarios. We can say, well, there's no hard, fast rule, for example, for a bully offer. Do you take it or do you not take it? It's a different market than it was in the spring, right? So it's a different product than the next door neighbor. This one is this one is that. Every house, especially in the West End or in downtown Toronto, is unique because they're all old. Most of them are old. Some of them are brand new and they're unique. So anyway, every scenario is sort of different. So when we're talking today, let's just sort of, these are more how to get to yes. I think that's what it would be. And we're always remembering that we're trying to get to yes, right? How's that for a good start? So what am I supposed to, we're supposed to walk through the 3 Ps. Do we know what the 3 Ps are? We will learn today. Counter tactics. Oh, so you guys have done this, right? Your mission? You guys did all that?
Yeah.
10 fours. Your turn, lead generate. Yeah, so you'll hear at KW, it's all about lead generating. And, it was a really good, just as a sort of reminder or background, at Bold, the teacher or the founder of that course, one of her, stories is that she did 162 consults one year, and she got 160 of her listing consultations. It's huge numbers. Those are big, big numbers. And it's like, how the heck did that ever happen? Because I can tell you, it's not my experience. But what she had was a lot of leads. And when you have a lot of leads, you pre-qualify them. She was too busy to go and meet everybody. She would only meet people who were motivated, who were interested in working with her, who she knew so she basically pre-qualified them before even going on them. So the whole goal is that you get a whole bunch of leads and then you can work with the best of the best. And it's a little bit like this leads appointments kind of thing. But just remember there's enough business for all of us. My style is not your style. We're all able to, you'll find clients that I won't be able to relate to and all that kind of stuff. Our worst enemy is ourselves. And these numbers show you who's the enemy here. These are easy numbers, some of them. I know it's not easy to get the appointments and the, signed agreements and all that kind of stuff, but that's an affirmation that we're trying to get over. It's the other thing they're teaching us, change your mindset. But you can add people to your database, you can call, you can make notes, and you can do agents open houses. Agents open houses are the easiest thing to do. And for you, Joe, the best thing. I told a woman the other day at the course, I'm like, go on a whole bunch of home inspections. Home inspections are really, ask anybody in the office. Is anybody doing a home inspection? I'm doing one next week, for example. You want to go and you want to follow the home inspector around. Because what you learn there, then you can pass on to your client, and you sound like a freaking expert. Because you are, like you're not, but you're becoming one, right? It's fantastic. It's the best way to start, I think. So during the offer phase, the goal of getting a contract, so we're here, we're into contracts. Contract would be an offer, right? That's what they mean by contract, FYI. So it's bargaining, give and take process between two or more parties, each with its own aims, needs, and viewpoints, seeking to discover common ground and reach an agreement to settle a matter of mutual concern or resolve a conflict. So the one thing about this is it's a process between two or more parties seeking to discover common ground. So how do you know what their aims, needs, and viewpoints are of your client? Roberta, how do you find out what your client's needs, aims, and views are? Yes, and when you're talking to them, what are you doing?
I'm getting information from them.
Yes, keep going. That's it. That's it. You're not talking, you're listening.
Oh, I'm listening, yes. Yeah, I'm asking them questions and listening to, what they're telling me. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the more you ask questions, the more you will be able to stay on point. So I always did BRO, by referral only, which was like this course done by a guy in the States, and I followed it for years, and I still do. But his basic thing is like find out your client's deepest needs and values, and then, help them reach that. But we can't assume, like, I don't know if any of you guys, for example, have children. I don't, but that's okay. Your needs are different than my needs. Do you see what I mean? I don't know if any of you have pets, cottages, parents, elderly, not elderly, needing work, Like, everybody has such a different story and a unique experience, and we go into every appointment with our own objective. So we got to get out of our own objective and start figuring out their needs. And if you stay on point with their needs, that's how we get to the win. That's how we get to the contract. Like, for example, when you're seeing a house and they're making, comments, oh, maybe not, you know what I mean? But it's in the neighborhood that they want, it's in the school district that they want, it's everything that they talked about, but it maybe needs a new kitchen, or, it's kind of ugly compared to the next houses over, that kind of thing. How do you help them stay on point, right? You're like helping them get to a written contract. This is important, written contracts. So the only way to know it is asking questions. So when in real estate, negotiations are between you and your client, and then obviously between the agents. Between the agents is a big one. Oh, we're supposed to watch the video. We love the video. Do you guys ever go on mykw.com?
Mm-hmm.
Good. It's a good little website. It's not called MyKW anymore. It's called One.
Isn't it KW Connect?
Is that what it's called? Mine's called, I don't know, One.
I'm Josh Anderson from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been with Keller Williams since 2006. 2014, we did about 200 transactions for about $60 million in volume. I grew up on a farm, so I've always seen my dad negotiating land and cows and horses, being the youngest of four, and I'm trading and negotiating with my brothers all growing up. So I've kind of done it all the time. Some people are certainly gravitate toward it and are naturally better at it than others. But I think that negotiation can definitely be learned. I think there's a lot of skills that go into being a great negotiator. I think it's learning your client. Instead of kind of assuming that you know what's important to them, really asking a lot of questions and letting them tell you what they need or want, and then speaking to the other agent and finding out what's most important to their client. And there's some agents that just don't give any. When I have an agent that I'm dealing with that's very tight-lipped, I just keep asking questions, and they give me information that they might not have otherwise given, whether it's a divorce or a death, or it's just they got relocated to some other city. And I think if you're really listening and being intentional and purposeful about listening, you'll find out exactly what's important to them or what they have to have. And certain situations you have to be creative. We're always looking for that next little tip to help our clients out and win the deals. One of the techniques that we've used a lot that's worked well for us is the escalation clause. For example, if the property is listed at $250,000, we might go in at $250,000 with strong terms, and special stipulations we might put in there that we're willing to beat the next best documented offer by $1,000.
You're not allowed to do this, so ignore that part.
And the best offer might be $261,000, so we end up getting it for $262,000. From a client standpoint, be willing to have a real conversation with your clients. It's not us just being realtors for them, it's us consulting and advising and really telling them, if you really want this property, here's what you have to do to get it. Everybody's got a different way of how they would negotiate. And networking with other Keller Williams agents around the country, the more you hear it, the more ideas you get. And then you end up gearing it towards you and what you think is going to work best for you and your clients. A lot of it comes down to experience, and I think the more deals you do, the more comfortable you get with it. If you can step back from every transaction and learn something, you're going to get really good over time.
I think there's a lot of negotiation with children, it seems to me. You know what I mean? So you say you want this, but I'm pretty sure, so I'm sure we can have experience in other things. So Joe, your past experience will probably help you a lot in real estate. Do you think it's transferable skills?
Sure. Like talking to customers,
Talking to,
listening to their needs and wants.
right. What did you do before in your job?
What did I do?
Did you sell stuff, or what
No,
were you
I
doing?
didn't sell it. It was more handling escalations and complaints that they had and
Ooh.
stuff like that. I have done that.
Well, that's a hard job.
Yeah.
When they're all emotional
Yeah.
and they're all angry and all that kind of stuff. Geez, in telecommunications, everybody hates them, don't they? Isn't that? Don't you just call them and start yelling? Isn't that what?
That's the solution. Put a lot of money on it.
Right, okay. So I think appeasing is, I think maybe probably the best thing is to calm them down, right?
Yeah.
So I would say in real estate, the best thing is to not let them get too upset. Because what happens was, especially why, for example, I don't like people seeing, my sellers to be at the house when buyers come through. It becomes so personal so quickly, you know what I mean? So let them yell at you, right? So when we're doing an offer, we never let the buyers and sellers meet, ever, until way after the deal. Because, and you'll see lots of examples, they get all pissy right away, and it's fine for them to be mad at us, insulted or whatever, for them to sort of say things that might turn them off. Like, for example, their offer is low or something like that, or they want to include something they don't want, or closing date isn't what they wanted, or, blah, 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 blah. There's like a million examples, but let your client and let the agents get upset with each other, but don't ever let the clients get mad at each other, because we want them to love each other at the end of the day. So it's one of the reasons why I don't do
Exchange the money in the keys.
yeah, exactly. No, I don't get into furniture sales and stuff like that. When they all want to sell the furniture, I'm like, I'm out. We're not furniture salespeople. Let them, because it gets so emotional again. I'm like, seriously, let's do the deal. You guys talk about furniture later. But there were a few tips in there. And one of the things that I was going to tell you guys, and you'll probably know, the more experienced agents in here, the first thing people say when they're selling their house, when you ask them what do they want. Roberta, what do they say?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Mariana, what do they say?
Price.
Price.
Yeah.
All I want is money.
I want the most.
I want the most amount of money. And then the conversation stops. Literally, it stops. So now what do you say? Mariana, what do you say then?
It's not all about the money.
So this is a classic line. I know it's small writing. What's important to you about that? So it's a really, really good question to have in the back of your mind or in your pocket, is what's important to you about that? Because the money is not money for money, right? People don't want a house for the hell of having a house. They want it to do stuff in. They want the money to do stuff. So it's like, what are they going to do with the money? That's when you can sort of get into it. Well, you know, my kid is going to university. We're getting a divorce. It's going to be half the money. Okay, so then you can get into the divorce. Okay, so, you know, like then you can sort of get into the background questions. And really, technically, you can ask sort of the same-ish question like 7 different ways, 7 different times, like similar to this. What's important to you about that? Okay, your kid's going to university. That's awesome. What's your plan? Like, what are the other sort of parts of the equation here? You know what I mean? And then you can get to know them and understand them. And then they start, you know, that whole theory of you go to a bar, you're sitting there and you start asking the next person questions and they think you're their best friend at the end of the night and they don't even know your name because they're talking about themselves. Clients love talking about themselves. So when you're negotiating, let them talk. Listen to them, listen to them, listen to them, and then start, you know, winding them around to something that might be answering their deepest needs. So, above all else, be professional when you're negotiating. You know that, right? Remember your goal is a signed offer. Contract. Contract would be the final, I guess. Not just the offer, but the agreed offer. Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your client or other parties, you're reducing their leverage in the negotiations. And it's funny, I feel like when I'm being negotiated with or whatever, like they can push me and push me and push me, and then I just say no. You know what I mean? I'm like, nice, 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 and then I'm like, okay, that's enough. You know, you're pushing the boundaries. You're being, you know what I mean? Like, this is not going to work this way. So you can be nice, but then you can also stand up for yourself too, right? Like, there's not a total, you're just going to be walked over and all that kind of stuff. This is, again, is back and forth. You get your needs answered too. Continually refer back to motivation. Don't reveal too much. Okay, so there we are in an offer presentation. Joe, have you ever done an offer presentation? Another good example of something to sit in on. Offer presentations are crazy. Well, first of all, they're quiet, and nobody really knows what to say. And people, to fill the silence, start saying stupid things. So the number one thing I tell my sellers, and you may do the same thing, is do not speak. Like, seriously, do not speak. Because once they start telling you the motivation, they start telling you, you know, what's important, and they start indicating whether your offer's any good, and they start giving it away right away. Don't you find? Mm-hmm. It's like sad. So I'm like, no words, poker face. Negotiations are poker face too. It's like, that's nice. Anything else? Okay, what about the closing? Okay, anything else? And just get it all out. Then leave the room, talk to your people, then come back, poker face again. Well, we have other offers. And they're really not 100% sure about this whole situation. Like, really, you kind of got to pull it together and be the kind of strong advocate for your own sellers or your own buyers, right? But it's pretty funny, actually. This is the whole thing. It's very quiet, and it's very much like nobody says anything. So it's really important that you don't like tell them, for example, they're being transferred out west, or I don't know, like they're getting divorced. When I'm showing a house, I make them put all the clothes in one closet. None of this sharing 2 rooms and living in different areas and somebody's using the bathroom basement in the bathroom in the basement. You know, like, we don't show any motivation. So that's one of the things. Don't be attached to the outcome. That's probably the biggest thing that I teach my team, and it helps a lot. What does that mean, Mariana?
Don't
Be calculating your commission.
Don't
Or
be
you,
first, or you're putting yourself in there and, you know, thinking what you would like, right?
Exactly.
What you would like instead of what they would like.
Exactly. And calculate, like, I don't even bring a sold sign, even when I have multiple offers and I know it's going to sell. I do not, you can't assume it's all going to work out until it does. And stay in the moment, stay present in the moment. But you're right, you know, especially if you're hungry for money, it becomes extremely obvious. And the agents start putting their own needs before the seller's needs or the buyer's needs. They're like, I need this fucking deal to go together. And like, that's what they're saying in their head. I need this money now. And like, then you're not focused, right? Excuse my language. I hope you're not taping me right now. But that's pretty much it.
Totally recorded.
And I'm telling you honestly, like agents, that's how they feel. Okay, so common points of negotiation when we're doing an offer. That's actually an interesting point, is that the price is not, like everybody wants to know the price. It's just like what you said. What do you ask people? All they want to know is the money. Money is not everything. It's in a deal, it's part of it. But like, for example, if I have two offers and one's conditional, but it's $10,000 more and one's firm and it's unconditional, like you take the $10,000 less. You can't sell this house again if it fails a home inspection, for example, or something like that for $10,000 less. Like the loss is massive. You got to deal with finding new people. Like they may not be able to bridge their new deal. Like there's so many other issues that come into play that you just have to remember price is one of the points. While the sales is the primary factor. Situation where a seller receives multiple offers at the same price in terms of those offers. Blah, blah, blah. Terms. Okay. Terms are interesting because there's a lot of different sort of things here. And one of the things that I don't know if they call it conveyances, but one of the terms, like for example, it's warranting. So what we have normally are conditions. What would be a condition? What are common conditions?
Financing, home inspection,
Insurance,
status,
certificate. Those are the top sort of four, I would say.
insurance.
Yeah, if it has knob and tube or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes with CMHC, it's harder to get insurance.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of, sometimes people put that in there. Some could be sale of purchaser's property. Like there's all kinds of different, there's escape clauses, there's all kind of stuff like that. Some are like conditional upon somebody else seeing it, you know, the spouse or somebody like that. Like you can get all kinds of different conditions. So we know you guys all know what conditions are, right? You've been through all the conditional stuff. And then there's closing. So closing costs aren't really, like we don't have that in our thing. But warranting, for example, they warrant that the house is going to be in good working, like all of the appliances and the toilets and the, you know, what do they say? It's like that whole thing about good working order. It's not good working order, it's working order, but whatever. The appliances and like the furnace, the toilets, the wiring, like basically the whole house is going to be in working order on closing. That's a huge warranty. Just remember that. Huge warranty. Like it's in every offer, but the sellers have to know exactly what that means. So if something's not working, we put in, you know, as is, because we could get in trouble quite quickly. Another one would be, for example, that they have parking. Like they're saying, yes, they have legal parking. Maybe, maybe not, right? Especially with front pads and all that kind of stuff. Be careful what you're sort of saying in the offer. The other one, other sort of warranties would say it's in clean, you know, clean and broom swept condition on closing. Your closing, like it's going to be vacant possession. What if there's tenants? You know, all these kind of.
But you have to be really careful.
Yes, hugely
Because
careful.
It says that if you warrant that it will be empty,
Yes,
vacant on the day
you
of
do.
closing.
That's on the first page with the
First
price
page, yeah.
and the closing date.
It's a small print.
That's the thing. It's one of the hardest ones. People don't understand. So when you have a tenant, you have to address that tenant in the offer. Because I apparently now banks don't like tenancies and like having accessory apartments, and you know what I mean? Because then maybe the banks aren't going to approve it because it maybe has an illegal apartment. But you still cannot sell a house with a tenant in it unless you address the tenant in the offer. It's just a fact. You have to disclose all this kind of stuff. What other things would be in an offer? Can you guys think? What else do you put in an offer?
Like what I would put in Schedule A.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess if there's swimming pool equipment,
Mhm.
if the house has a swimming pool, then I
That's a good one.
all of that.
Garbage cans are a big one now, in the recycling cans and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is that they're agreeing to leave it. Furniture.
Oh, I've never thought of that.
Oh yeah.
I haven't thought of that either.
Oh yeah, it comes up, and then they get mad. You try and anticipate all the things. See, when you're trying to negotiate a deal, you want it to look clean, but you also want to cover your client, right? So as a buyer's agent, you want to make sure that it's all clear. But when you're, you don't want it to sound too scary or overwhelming, right? One of the things would be the inclusions and exclusions of extra furniture, dining room light fixtures, all those kind of things that maybe they want to keep that were excluded already. Things like that. Repairs. So there is like a home inspection clause that says, there's a couple of kinds, right? Like one clause would say it's conditional upon home inspection and the buyer has the right to, refuse or not refuse it. The other one says that if there's any repairs necessary, then we can renegotiate and we can open up and the seller might be willing to discuss it. You guys know those different ones?
No, I've never seen that one.
I've
just normally dealt with, if there's issues, I just do an amendment, right?
Right, that's a negotiation kind of thing. It's just sort of opens it up, because sometimes it can say then the buyer walks away, but the other one allows the seller to actually discuss it with you first. Sometimes the walking away is way more buyer oriented, but
Yeah, that's right, it's quite vague, isn't it? Like I find that they can find any little small
that's the
thing
problem.
and they
That's
can
why
walk away.
it's a better clause to have it say the seller might be willing to.
I had clients that we did 3 home inspections on 3 different properties, and they walked away from the stupidest things.
Exactly.
I was ready to done. But they did finally buy something. But 3, and they did this prior to me as well. Like she had said to me, oh yeah, we put like 5 offers in on a house and walked away because of the home inspection. I should have known, that should have been my
I was going to say, that's the whole, like the more leads you have, the less often you have to work with those kind of
Yeah.
people.
Julie, do you ever modify your the clauses?
Yes.
Like reprinted, keep it
Oh, the pre-printed ones? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And I write my own handwritten ones in quite often, actually. They're not exactly correct, but they're within sort of reason.
Yeah, as long as they cover everything.
That's right. Yep.
Because I had problem exactly with the home inspection too, like as being on a seller side.
Yes.
Right? Just little things when the buyer can walk away with or if they find the offer is null and void.
Right. And it becomes very one-sided and very difficult for.
And no control. Sellers have
That's right.
seller have no control.
So then it's not attractive. So that's a negotiating point, right? We can have the traditional home inspection clause in there, but as a seller, we can add that verbiage in there that says the seller is allowed to address any minor, issues that come up in the home inspection and may have the right to fix them instead of that whole one. And then that's a negotiating point. So like you can open stuff up, and especially, you're working with your own client, but it's again win-win, right? So it can't be all buyer-sided, it can't be all seller-sided. Another point is, that the buyer has to bring a check within 24 hours. How do we deal with that, right? So we might add they can't bring a full check, so we might have a further deposit. There's ways to sort of get around some of these issues, right? Closing, for example, we have a closing date, and the sellers need the closing date to bridge finance the next one or get to the next house. But the buyers, whatever, there's reasons, I don't know what the reasons are, we can make reasons up, but like they can lease back, for example. They can, there's all sorts of ways to get around some of these. Nothing is in stone. How's that? Nothing's in stone. And so the 3 Ps, what are the 3 Ps? Do we know what they are? Joe, what are the 3 Ps?
Property, price.
Prepare.
Oh.
Very easy. Go ahead.
Prepare, present, position.
Okay, prepare. Preparation is key, building confidence and ensuring smooth negotiation. Okay, Joe, you're on. You can just give us the headlines,
Know your goal.
right?
Know your client. Think ahead. Set clear expectations.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So one of the last things here, it says stress the importance of moving quickly to create a sense of urgency. Part of setting it clear expectations with your client is being clear they're likely to be rejected. So the urgency thing, what does that mean, Mariana? What do they mean by that?
Well,
Like when you're in a situation where you show a house or your clients are thinking about making an offer, how do you handle the urgency thing?
well, ask them a question, if I know, like, why they're looking and,
Mhm.
they have the time, that it's important to them, like, closely. And so ask them again, what is your goal? Like, so if they start thinking about it, oh, we need to move and stuff like that. Is that
Well,
what you-
what I was sort of thinking is, for example, a house is on the market for a couple of weeks, and so they think, oh, I could think about it. I'll take the weekend. Maybe
Oh, I see.
I'll, think about maybe making an offer. Maybe we should do, I don't know. Like they just sort of hum and haw, and you'd be surprised the minute you start looking at a property, somebody else is like going to put in an offer, even if it's been on the market. Like there was a house in Ronces recently. It was on the market from June until September. And then there was a multiple offer. Like, fuck, seriously, what is that? So, the next day another buyer can see it and then they just jump on it and their agent's like, look, we've been like, this is it. You guys, maybe they just started. Maybe they just were moving into town. Maybe they're, the circumstances changed. Who knows? And you can like do that.
So I guess then it would be, well, if looks like this home meets most of your expectations, don't leave it too long.
Mhm.
The weekend, anything can happen. There's going to be open house. If you think that's the home for you, let's just
Read up a contract.
write up on a contract.
Sign on the dotted line. You want to, again, you're not forcing them, but you also can't take this lightly. Like this can happen fast.
Yeah, you can tell them, oh, maybe we'll see something else.
Exactly. That happens a lot. First house. Have you had this? Where they see the first house and it's like the one they want to buy, but then it's the first house and
Yeah.
maybe they shouldn't, or the first condo or the, whatever. And then they're afraid. Honestly, it takes a long time for them to find the next one.
Yeah.
Because they lose it and they get so sad and depressed and, oh, I should have bought it. So the no regrets thing is serious. It can happen and it's quite common. It's quite crazy that way.
And it's better if they know it's their fault. They didn't think, oh, you didn't make,
Yes.
So it's better you have to say it, like.
Yeah, let's make an
you have to
offer.
say it.
Let's make an
Put it in
offer.
their court, right? Otherwise,
Exactly.
they blame you.
And putting those words, like you literally, it's sort of like, when you're making phone calls and it was like, do you know anybody who's thinking about buying or selling? Same words, let's make an offer, versus like, have a nice day, see you later, like just sort of keep putting it, getting them used to this whole idea that, oh, this is what we're doing, we're buying a house here. Okay, Joe, you're still on the red.
Be informed, obey the law, and know the documents inside and out.
Well, we were just talking about knowing the documents inside and out, that offer thing. Be informed, what does that mean? Ask open-ended questions, use active listings to find out as much as you can about the other party and their agents. You would be shocked at how many people Google, like, I'm in the middle of an offer and they're Googling who the buyers are and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Pretty funny.
Yes,
They go on LinkedIn, they go on Facebook, they go everywhere trying to find them. So, and it's kind of the same thing, like the more informed you are, the better you are going to be ready and not surprised by stuff. Informed is also, for example, I was selling a house and it's on a ravine and there's retaining walls and there's all of that sort of stuff. This is like information that you need to sort of help your buyers and sellers work with. Okay, be clear on your turn. Prepare to negotiate. Here we are. Here's your first one. Do you guys do this scenarios? So I'm supposed to give you like 5 minutes to think about this. Okay. Read the scenario below. Identify the key areas in which more information or certainty before you could confidently negotiate on your client's behalf. Write 3 specific questions you would ask your client in the space provided below. Okay, Roberta, you can read it out.
You are representing a single buyer. Your client is renting her present property. Like any first-time buyer, she is looking to you to guide her through the process. The asking price for the home she really loves is $175,000. The house appears to have evidence of a roof leak. Is listed as is and is correctly priced. Your clients would like to keep her payments as low as possible since she still has a number of student loans to pay off. She wants to write an offer for $155,000. There has been quite a bit of activity on the listing.
Okay, it says 15 minutes, but we can take 5. So you guys, I don't know if you write it down. What do you do with your homework here?
We'll just talk about.
Yeah, we just talk
about and do it together.
We do it together?
Yeah.
It's like a group learning thing? All right. Okay, what kind of questions would you ask your client? So you have to, this is the scenario you have to like sort of sink it in. So she's got student loans, right? She wants to put an offer of $155,000. It's busy. There's activity, which means there's going to be other people interested. The roof is leaking or something? Appears to leak. And she loves it. She's renting right now. Okay. What questions would you ask your client?
See, I'm not sure I would ask questions. I'd probably just tell her.
So she would say, okay, so I want to buy the house for $155,000 and you know that the deal won't go through at $155,000.
Right.
So what are you going to say to me?
I'm
the buyer.
I'm going to say, well, I understand it needs a new roof, but so let's figure out what a new roof is going to cost. We know at $175,000, the house is priced
So
well.
how much do you think a new roof would
Yeah.
cost? Does it say there how much it's going to be?
No, it just says that it needs it and it's listed as is.
I think this is a good question though, right? To know like you're all on the same page. So there's no, you know what I mean? It's not this like, I find people make up numbers, right? Ooh, I need a new kitchen or a new bathroom and it's going to be like huge, or a new roof is like $25,000. Like we need a little bit of context on this. So how much do you think a roof will cost, or at least discuss that? Sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
I would say we've seen similar houses and they're in similar price ranges. So we know that, I would say, well, if I were to ask a question, I guess I would say, would you agree that the house is worth around what they're asking?
Dude, that was well thought out. It worked. That made your brain think, right? Instead of saying what you said at first, which is I just tell her, it'd be like, would you agree that this is well priced based on the other ones, right? That was really great. Okay. Joe?
What's the reason why you want to offer 155? Maybe they can't afford higher payments?
She says she wants to keep her payments as low as possible since
Why is that?
she has a number of student loans to pay off.
So we're assuming she's pre-approved, right, for. We have to
Okay,
assume-
so we can't assume, right?
We can't assume that
So what are you
she can
pre-approved
afford.
for?
Yeah.
Is that a good question?
Yeah, that's a great question, yeah. What are you pre-approved for?
Do you know what that means, Joe?
Yeah.
Good. I would ask something like, how much do you love this house? Like, roofs can be changed, but like, do you love the house? Like, everything else?
Question would
Yeah,
be,
is
you
it-
know,
if-
emotional, right?
Exactly, like how, forget the roof for a second. Everything else, is everything else fantastic? Great, like you can't change location, you can't change yards, you can't change the way it's facing in the sun, you can't change a busy street from a quiet street. You can change a roof though, so these are I'm like, how much do we love this house? We love this fucking house, don't we? Love this friggin' house. You see what I mean? Like this is like, we want to keep them sort of on pace. How many other houses? We've seen like 1 million other houses And how much do you like this one better than the other ones? Like, we want to keep them on track of this is what we were looking for. So that's one of the questions. Because you're right about the more we get into like facts and numbers and stuff, the less easy it is to negotiate, because then it becomes like this for that and this for that, and it just, you know, how much they're approved for is important, but the extra $10,000, you know, to get the roof done, we can afford that, like over time. We can add it, we can make payments, you know what I mean? It can be happening. Or another thing is, what if we got them? Why don't we put it in the offer? We say the sellers will do the roof. Like, there's lots of different scenarios, right?
That's not really ideal though, is it? Like, I wouldn't want a seller doing that for my buyer.
Well,
For my buyer.
this is the thing, but she might be desperate for it, you know, because coming up with cash is harder. I agree that it's a pain in the neck getting somebody else because you don't know the quality of the.
Right.
So, but it's more like,
And it also made the roof maybe repairable too, right? Doesn't have,
Yeah.
have to be the full roof.
it appears, right? Have we had a home inspection? But how much do we love it? And then, what was that other one? Oh, put in it in the offer. And what about, I would ask, like, if another offer comes in, like, how would you feel if the house sells right now? If you know, we sort of want to keep them. I'm all about the no regrets. So, and I call it touching the fire. Like, you get close to that decision and you know that, oh, what if you want to put it, what if we put in an offer and then they feel, oh God, what are we putting in an offer? And then that's getting close to the fire. It's not like an accepted offer yet, but it's close to them owning the house. They're a lot closer than just looking at a house, like when they start writing up an offer. So that's getting close to the fire. Another one would be, what if another offer comes in? Would you be willing to pay $175 just to get the house? And the answer is yes. She'd ignore the roof. So keep them on track, right? How would you feel?
See, your questions, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're all about feelings and emotions.
Exactly. It's funny, eh?
Yes.
Ahas, that's your aha. Roberta, any other ahas from it?
Because that's
I thought you did really well, by the way. You changed your whole mind in there.
Oh, well, I thought I got all complicated after I listened to you.
No, but you
God.
changed it around. You totally changed it around. And instead of telling them, you started figuring out ways to ask them.
Yeah, I find that I do kind of, I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I do tell my clients, I don't ask questions. I would say to them.
It's very tricky.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
because I
tricky.
would have I would say to a client, well, we know that this house is worth $175,000.
Right.
A roof is not gonna cost that much. We know you love the house, so you just need to buy it. Like-
So instead of doing it that way, you ask questions and get them
Right.
to come around to
Yes,
it.
yeah, I just have to retrain my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It's the habits,
their
right?
decision, right? It's,
Yeah.
they feel that they decided, not you.
That's the whole way to do a deal. Get them to,
Okay, so I have a question,
yeah,
because, and actually
group,
a lot of the group knows I'm currently selling a house.
cool.
And it's my own house.
Oh,
I had a
how
couple-
exciting.
Yeah, I know.
How's it going?
It's fertile. So anyways. And Nicole actually said to me, ask Julie, 'cause Julie's really good with this stuff. So I had a couple through on the weekend, and they've been keeping an eye on the house, so they really love it.
Good.
So they called me.
So she showed it to you, or the agent called you?
No, they paged me through the office, this couple.
Do they have an agent?
And so I said to them, do you have an agent? And they said, no, we're not under contract with anyone. Anyways, so I said, okay, well, I'm doing an open house at the house, so why don't you come by? So they said, okay, great. So they came in and they loved the house. Like, this is the thing. Everyone that comes through the house loves the house, but no one's putting in a drives me crazy. So we're 40 days on the market right now. We've gone from 1.749 to 1.589.
Okay.
So they come in, they've been watching it. So they come in and they're like, oh my God, we love this house. Like, we love it. And we're so surprised. We weren't expecting to love it this much. I said, okay, well, that's great. He says to me, but it only has 3 bedrooms. I said, okay. And he says, you know, we're thinking about having another baby, which means then we're gonna need another bedroom. But we love this house. And I said, okay, well, what do you think this house is worth? And he said to me, well, I don't know. And I said, well, just tell me, like, what do you feel that this house is worth? Like, you don't know if you're gonna have another baby. You love the house, you love everything about the house. Tell me what you think this house is worth. And he wouldn't tell me. So anyways, I followed up with him. I sent him a text message and just said, I'm wondering, you know, if you've come up with what you feel this house is worth. And he said to me, we love the house. You know, let me know what you do with it. Let me know if you reduce it, because I had said to him, I'm thinking about really reducing it and then holding off on offers. He's like, let me know, because, you know, maybe then we're going to be interested in it.
Right.
So I just don't know, like, I haven't responded to his text, because I just don't even know how to respond. Like, clearly they like the house.
Right.
Clearly they want the house.
Can
But
they afford it?
they can afford it. He told me they were looking up to 1.7.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can do it by text. So I think you might have to meet with them again.
Okay. And so
'Cause that's
then, what
part
would
of
you
this.
say, though? What would you say? Like,
So-
they've been following the house. They've seen it at the higher price.
Right.
It's now come down $200,000.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like.
So what about, why don't you just put in an offer and we'll try and work out a deal and you'll be happy and we'll be happy. You love the house. You know, we'll avoid that whole rigmarole of going through, and somebody else might come in and they might actually beat you. But I would say first off is you say you love the house. Tell me what's so great about the house. How does it help your family's needs? And get them sort of emotionally back into it. And then just say, listen, why don't you just put in an offer? Put in whatever, you know. But I wouldn't put them on the spot of saying, what do you think the house is worth? Because I think that's a hard question for a buyer. They're afraid of insulting you.
Yeah, well, that's what he said to me. Oh, I don't want to insult
Yeah,
you. And I said,
it's
you're not
true.
going to insult me, right?
No, it's a hard
Because I thought,
question.
okay, because he said to me, if it had 4 bedrooms, we would buy it. We feel it's worth this price.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, but
But how
you've
about,
they told me that that they're currently in a 4-bedroom home and their bedrooms are really small. And I said to him, when we built the house, we had an option of doing 4 bedrooms. We did 3 big bedrooms. I said, if we had done 4, you would have come in here and you would have said to me, the bedrooms are too small, Roberta. So I said, now, like, we've got these 3 large rooms that fit your family's needs. But, like, they're not,
and you just sort of have to, it's emotional for you, so you gotta
I know, step away. I
yeah,
know.
de-escalate it. But the main thing is, instead of I think that's a really valid point, what you just said, extremely valid point.
All right.
And I'm sure you said it in a nice way.
I did say
You
it
know,
in a very-
I'm sure
I
you
was
did.
laughing when I said
Yeah, yeah. But it's smart the way you did it, and be like, okay, so what if you do have another kid? What about sharing a room? I shared a room till I was 13.
Oh, I know, me too.
So have you ever thought of them sharing a room? Maybe eventually one of them will go to the basement. Have you thought about sort of other things? The neighborhood is what you want, the house is what you love. Let's sort of focus on the positives here. There's so many more positives, and there's ways to work around it, and we wanted the larger bedrooms. The baby's a maybe, maybe not. You're sort of getting your dream, and in the price range that you can,
Yeah.
afford. There is a thing going on right now, actually, with the new rates and the stress test and stuff like that, officially going into practice in January. And so for a lot of buyers, it might, especially in your range and stuff, because it's the over $1 million.
Right.
And as of January 1st, the stress test is going to be significantly harder for them. They basically said that a buyer is going to be able to afford about $200,000 less in the 1.5-ish kind of buyer.
Right.
So it's also a good sort of thing. But I think that's a really super valid point about the larger bedrooms and all that kind of stuff. But it's just more like, how do we make this work?
Yeah,
It's all good.
okay, I haven't responded yet. I'm gonna-
That's a good question. How do we make this work?
Yeah.
But I don't wanna sound,
You're not. That's what I mean. How do we make this work? You want the house, we want to sell it. Win-win.
well, and that's
Let's
exactly what
put
I
in
said
an
to him.
offer.
I said, the house is for sale because we wanna sell it,
Mhm.
right? So just, like, let me know what you think. I mean, my strategy was kind of like, okay, I thought if they come back to me.
But letting me
with
know
one
what
point-
I think is not the same as these questions.
Yeah,
It's putting them in a hard position, especially not with no agent. It's hard. And you are the exact, didn't we talk about this at the beginning? I feel like we did. We said buyers and sellers should not be talking to each other. That was the first thing we said. That was like meant to be. That was like me ad-libbing, but my goodness, it's true. Oh, so just as an FYI, I've sold a few houses and I never represent myself.
I know. Trish said the same thing when she was in here.
I hired a different agent in a different company than me. So, yes, I did. Because she used to be at Royal LePage and then she changed companies and I'm like, I'll go with her. She's a friend of mine and good agent. And then, yeah, so I say stay out of it. You are your worst enemy. Because you're just too involved, you know what I mean? And then he's afraid of insulting you. So it's easier for him to insult. It's exactly the scenario we just talked about.
Yeah, I know.
You know, the buyer can talk to their agent and then the agents can talk to each other and then you never get into the, oh, I'm going to insult you thing. But you're learning. It's all good. It's growth. Growth.
I know, I am, but I guess my head is like a rock because I hear these things and I don't really apply them, right? Like I'm still listing them now.
Exactly. You can change agents at any time. It's possible. There's probably really great agents in this,
Yes,
office that could help you and would be happy to be your rep.
I know.
Okay. Just okay, move into the negotiation process. Oh, do we need a break or are we okay?
Quick washroom break.
Quick washroom break? Okay. It's 11:06. 4 minutes. You guys got 4 minutes. This goes to 12:30, is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that our plan? Stay calm and relaxed. So you ask people for the advice, but you don't want to take it.
No, exactly, yeah.
That's true. I get that.
I'm a seller. Like,
And you're emotionally attached to it. You are. You can't help it
well,
to be.
I mean, it's so frustrating because, back at the peak, we would have sold probably for like.
Okay, you are being a
I know.
fucking classic seller right now. Is this on pause or something like that? Because
I know.
that's
No,
what
no,
all
no,
the
but
sellers are
that's
saying.
fine. No, I know. No, I know.
So
and
if
I'm
you-
fine with that. I get that.
A
I mean, that
perfect-
market was crazy anyways. I didn't enjoy that market.
And it might not have closed, so you never know.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But this is sort of a good example. The market's been going like this for years,
I know.
whatever, 2009. And this is 2017. And we had a little bit of a blip in here, but we're still there.
No, I know.
You're ahead of last year.
No, I know. I know.
But you are in a tough position when they don't have an agent and you are the agent.
I know.
Because they can't be honest with you.
I know.
You can get Nicole to represent the buyer.
I know when I was talking to Nicole, because I had her come in and look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, oh yeah, I mean, everyone that's come through, even at the, we have more action at the higher price, at the 1.749
Right.
than I'm having now. At
It's
1.589.
days on market, dude.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cancel it today and relist it.
Why don't you relist it with somebody else? And they'll probably do it for you for free. So it's not like, people do favors for each other in this business.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that side
Yeah.
of the business.
That's why I do it. Like, you know, I just get like somebody I know to represent me. I don't pay them. They'll do it for me. I'll do it for them. It's just something before you cancel and relist.
You want to come look at
What neighbor is it in?
it? Islington, Queensway.
Oh yeah, that's good. There's a lot of new builds and stuff like that, right? Is it a new build?
It's on the west side of Islington.
Is that
Do you know
bad?
where the townhouses are?
Yeah, yeah.
Bradbrook townhouses?
Yeah, yeah.
It's right on Bradbrook.
So, do you love it? How come you're moving?
It was an investment,
Oh, right.
so
It's time. You're onto new projects.
I need to get rid of it. Like, I'm just done. I
Right.
don't even lose money on it. I just
Right.
want to Kinnear. I've had enough. Like,
Right.
I said, I woke up this morning, I was up at 5 a.m. because I'm just constantly thinking about it. And I said to my husband, I'm like, that's it. Like, we are relisting, you know.
We're
So
reducing.
I thought if we relisted at 1.499,
Uh-huh.
we would, I would think that would generate quite a bit of interest.
Yeah. Tyler on our team he lives right near there. He'd be better. Do you know Tyler?
No.
He's younger. He's a good young guy. You don't know him. He's speaking tomorrow at the, are you guys going to that? The YKW?
What's that?
YKW. Well, are you going to that thing tomorrow?
Sorry, what's tomorrow?
It's,
Oh, on Thursday evening?
yeah,
Yeah, I am
power
power
hour or something like that. So power growth or something like that, yeah. My team is hosting it, come on. Did you see that?
Yes.
Julie Kinnear
yes,
team.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yeah.
So
The
we're
Irene-
sponsoring it, that's right.
The Irene and.
Irene and Carolyn.
Yeah.
I'm hoping 2 agents will come.
Oh, good.
Invited, but we'll see.
That's good that you invited them. That's the other bonus about KW.
Yeah,
The downlines are good.
yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
I've got
It's
people in my
just
downline
really
that's great.
One has a city job, so it's part-timer.
Right.
And one is, just shopping, like, like makes a deal or two a year. So shopping which company would help her to become better. I don't know. I don't know if she's committed. I don't know if she's the right.
You have to ask questions.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
can't come tomorrow, actually. So I haven't played.
that's right, you're selling your house. Okay, so talk to me. Where are we? We're on presentation. We better move faster. I'm moving too slow probably, but anyway. Move into the negotiation process by presenting your current offer to the cooperating agent and listening to the response. Okay, so here we are with our little $155,000 offer. And Mariana, what do you do next? You can read through them.
Okay. Call the other agent.
Yeah.
Pay attention to nonverbal cues. Keep quiet once you present an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Listen carefully to what is important to the other party. Stay calm and relaxed. Focus on customers' needs. Give your offer the best chance.
So be confident and committed. Here's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, which is the face-to-face meeting. So you guys all know what DocuSign is? Expensive little program, isn't it? Do you have it?
Was using the free trial, and
Oh, yeah.
but no, I never signed up for it.
So our team loves it. It does make your life way easier. Extremely convenient. It is, it's modern technology in the sense that technology is helpful because it means you don't have to meet with people. You can do it all verbally, on the phone and stuff like that. But I've presented hundreds and thousands of offers, and I'm telling you, my preference is to sit down and meet. And I do it, so even during, even if my clients, I remember doing it right here in this office, and I've done a bunch like this, where they're away, my clients are out of town, they live in Europe or something like that, and I do it even by Skype, so that and then each agent comes in and presents their offer by Skype to the sellers. because I find that the sellers they fall in love with the agent, right? So if you want your buyers to be best represented, it's best to be there. It's best to meet the sellers and give it your best shot, because a number on a paper is just a bit like getting a home inspection report. A home inspection report delivered to your email or whatever versus meeting the home inspector and talking to the home inspector is way different experience, right? Just like me advising you right now is ask to meet those buyers instead of texting, right? So face-to-face meetings allows you to analyze the body language and facial expressions, and you get into things like, when you're doing a presentation, you get into things like talking about what's important about the closing date, or how come your buyers deserve to get a little deal on it. Well, she's got student loans and she's a single buyer and she's renting right now, and it's a real stretch for her versus emailing an offer. Very big difference. You can get some emotion into it, and then they get tied into it, and then they become like, I want to do this deal with this person. I love this agent. I love their buyers. I want them. And that's the feeling that you want to create. So that's a big part of this whole sort of thing, is just being the pro and representing your seller or your buyer in the best possible light. So your turn, nonverbal clues. In the time allotted, write down as many nonverbal clues, body language, tone of voice, or rate of speech as possible that suggest negotiation is going in a positive or negative direction. Okay, so face-to-face, what's a positive emotion, body language, tone of voice?
Well, if there's
What's the first thing that's positive that you see when you see somebody?
smile,
Smile.
yeah. I mean, there's two. They look at each other and they kind of, smile. Like, yeah, it's a smile.
Smile is the first thing, right? Like you can see somebody a mile away and you're smiling. It's a big difference. And the other one is when somebody shakes your hand. That's a clue.
And
Looks into your eyes. Well,
shake it like it means
exactly.
right? Not
We don't like those limpy handshakes. You're kind of grossed out. Exactly. Or, and the looking into the eyes, just like when you're cheering, look into their eyes, toasting. But eye contact is really important. That's a positive. So the opposite of that would be non-eye contact. Right? On here. Opposite of smile is a frown or no emotion. Handshake. Strong. Limp. Okay, what's the next? Are there any other sort of things that we can do? The rate of speech. Anything about rate of speech? Tone of voice. There can be warm. And there can be, part of it is when agents don't speak at all, if they don't sort of elaborate at all, you lose a little bit of them too. Hey, how are you? Asking questions, stuff like that, but just that sort of openness. Warmth, that's it. Okay, so it's shocking the difference in presentation. You'd be amazed. I'm sure you guys have seen it too. It's amazing how the different presentations can be. On the phone, oh, and nonverbal clues, I don't know what else, whatever, we don't, that's probably enough. On the phone, how can you be positive?
Smile.
You can, totally.
When you're smiling and you're talking on the phone, your tone of voice is different.
That was very good. I bet you Joe is the best at this.
Yeah.
Are you amazing at it? Did you have to do it on the phone a lot?
I didn't really pay attention to whether I was smiling or not.
But can you tell that when you're smiling and when they're smiling and when they're frowning? You can hear it, right? I definitely think your tone of voice goes higher when you're smiling or something like that. You're up. Tone is higher. Another way to do it, just to be positive on the phone, is when you're standing up. So sitting is very, I don't know, I find that I get more energy when I'm walking and I'm on the phone. And I can like really get into it. And they can't see me, but I'm into it. And I'm talking and I'm like excited and I'm enthusiastic and they can feel it, right? It's a total, like, we're going for the win here. We're going for the touchdown. This is happening. My partner is really, she's funny. She's like, she thinks I'm crazy because I'm always on the phone talking to my clients and I talk like I'm talking to my best friends and I'm really excited and I'm like really into it and, they can feel it and they love you for it. Walk around. You can also yell at people when you're walking around too. But that's the negative side of it. Because you can be really angry and you're like, but it's just, you can create emotion when you're walking around.
Can I just share something, like, it just came to my mind, like, about talking on the phone, right?
Yes.
Like, when I'm angry with my daughter.
Yes.
Yelling at her, right? And being really angry, then the phone rings, and it's my client.
That is sales 101, isn't it? It's the worst. Oh, that's so funny. The smiling and the high pitched.
So true.
So, so slow talking. So we did that exercise the other day, that slow and then low talking. Quiet, meek. That whole meek thing, you won't get anywhere. I'm just telling you right now. Like, good luck with that. Like, you get somebody on the phone and it's not happening. It's just good luck. It's not going to work. But we did a little exercise the other day in that bowl course and I was talking to this young girl and she's just new in the business and she was telling me how nervous she was and all these things. And she was like kind of going, I'm really nervous and I'm really new and I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm a single mom and I have 4 kids. And like, she's giving me this whole story. And then they said to speak opposite, to like talk back in the opposite way that she spoke to you. So I'm like, you are making me feel nervous because her nerves are making me nervous. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm nervous too. Shit. Anyway, it's funny because then she was totally uncomfortable. So one of the things that you're supposed to do is match, right? If somebody's enthusiastic and stuff, you be enthusiastic, and if they're sort of low, like my business coach yesterday, she called me. Like, we have a coaching call sort of once a week, and she's like, hi, Jules, how are you? And I'm like, you're too up. I'm not that up, and it's not working for me right now, because I was upset about a couple things, and not that I want her down, but it was just like, come on, so I can't be all enthusiastic and emotional if they're not up for it either, you know what I mean? So when I'm talking to a client, I have to be sensitive to that too. If they're totally like, I'm like, I'm good. That's cool. How's it going? You can sort of close it down and be nice and friendly without, being insulting. So it shows you how you can really do stuff just talking. Ahas. Anything ahas? Talked about it? Any ahas from that? Are you more confident knowing how to negotiate just by your tone of voice and smiling, or negative you about your own sale? Taking the emotions out of it. This is a perfect course for you. Identify tactics and use counter tactics. In negotiating, your clients and or agents may use certain methods or tactics in an attempt to manipulate the negotiation. Because these tactics are generally predictable, you can learn quickly and accurately and identify them when they're being used on you. Oh, that's funny. These are funny. I remember these. Additionally, you can respond with the appropriate counter tactic with a high probability of accurately predicting how your response will be taken. So these are funny names. But anyway, nibbling. Joe, can you read out what nibbling means?
Once your client has agreed upon one major concession, the other party will start nibbling for additional smaller concessions.
Right. Roberta, what does that mean? Give examples.
So I've agreed to change my roof. That
Mm-hmm.
would be a major concession.
Yep.
Right? So then, the other party will, I don't really know. Like, what's
So like they'll be like, so, okay.
Changing my roof.
And they want the closing date changed. And they want to put in a smaller deposit. And they want
Yeah, yeah.
to change the price. There's little things like maybe a couple $1,000 off the price. Closing date they wanted the end of, November, but these maybe December 15th is better. Little, because they do see you giving in, right?
Right.
So a counter tactic would be, we're going to do the roof, but that's it.
Right.
Everything else as is. And you can stop them right there. Right? Pretty easy. But just as an FYI, you can be the nibbler. So that's okay too. So you can,
Always try that.
yeah, just keep going. Keep trying until they shut you down. Depends on who you run up against, right? Like for example, that bully offer thing, you can ask them to extend it. The irrevocability date, you can ask them to do all kinds of stuff. Whether they do it or not is another whole thing. So
What makes an offer a bully offer? I'm unclear as to what a bully offer really is.
that's a good, it's called a preemptive offer, Preemptive means before offer date. So we've like set a date for say Tuesday, and they come in on Saturday and say, well, here's your offer, and they like email it to you and say, you've got till 6 o'clock. And so they're being bullies. So they're bullying you into agreeing. And that means you have to like notify all the other agents, and you have to like, if anybody else wants to come in, we either look at the offer or we don't look at the offer. If we don't look at the offer, then we're like saying no to it. And what about, like, there's a lot of, it's a very good position to be in if it's a good offer. If it's a bad offer, bullies don't go anywhere. So you have to be really good. You usually have to be over asking with all their terms and conditions, with the deposit right there. So it's great for a seller, but it has to be so great that they're willing to forego all the other marketing. So it's sort of an interesting tactic, but basically it cuts out other offers, cuts them at their knees, right? Well, I thought, we had till Tuesday, so I was thinking about over the weekend, and I haven't got my financing together, and their agent is busy. Their agent is also out of the town or whatever, So,
So did your client take the bully offer?
yeah, it was the right decision. But it's not always the right decision. It has to be a good offer. It has to be worth it. We ended up with 3 offers.
Oh.
So I ended up calling everybody and doing that whole thing. Not much time. I was desperate. So it came down to the last minute. But at the end of the day, we looked at the comparables, we looked at the scenario, and said, could we do better on offer date? Maybe. But there's a great chance that we might not. And if we were the only people, like on offer day, you don't have as much control, right? When you're a bully, meaning on offer day, you're like, okay, everybody offer. And if nobody offers, you're like, you have to negotiate with that one buyer. Whereas if it's before, you're like, well, I got days to market it. So you're lucky to even for us to let you have it. So you're like stronger position. It's interesting. There's lots of different things to deal with, but it was an interesting scenario. But you look at you get prepared, you do all your little homework, and you spend the hours doing what you have to do and talking to your clients and talking about their needs and all that junk. It's not junk. It's all good. It's all positive. So hot potato, Mariana.
The other party tries to pass a problem onto you. For example, the co-op agent tries to pass all closing costs to your client because their client can't afford it.
A problem would also be like a roof. That's the same sort of problem. So how do you counter tactic that one?
Well, thinking about always having in mind win-win situation.
Yep.
So you negotiate. Okay, so that's, for example, some closing costs for my client, some closing costs for your client. So,
Right?
you know, split the closing costs and others. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would sort of ask them questions too, right? So sometimes if the sellers have a lot of money or whatever, they can maybe afford it, or maybe it's selling an asset or whatever, like it's a write-off for them, you know what I mean? So if they're an investor or whatever. So there are different scenarios that it might make sense that it's okay to do that. And some might just say, it's out of my hands, they can't afford it either, we're gonna have to try something different, you know? But the hot potato, like, I don't know, I mean, I guess you're supposed to throw it back to them or something. I don't know what hot potato really means.
And also tries to pass the problem on to you.
Yeah. So that the main thing is that, again, you can shut them down sort of quite quickly by saying, were they prepared? They know about this whole sort of scenario? But the roof, what would you say? Remember the girl with the roof? As the seller, what would you say? They want you to do the roof. Because you said you wouldn't recommend it, right?
I wouldn't know. So I would say to my seller that, I would say, okay, well, roof is probably gonna be about $5,000. So why don't we try to go back with $2,500 for the roof?
So you're talking
Splitting
about,
the
yeah,
cost.
right. So what I would get a little bit more into detail though of the advantage to the buyer that you're not going to be doing the roof.
Right.
Like, you totally get that,
Yeah.
but really in a roof situation, they want their own
Yeah,
contractor.
Yeah.
It's totally better. They get the warranty, it's passed on to them. They get the quality, they get the colors, they get to choose whatever, it's done when they want. And you're willing to do half. And how great is that? That's like a major bonus. So it's like win-win.
Right.
You're sharing the costs and they get the benefit of choosing their own contractor and they get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're really sort of doing a good job of making it sound good. Good guy, bad guy. Two people working together will take on opposing roles. One appears friendly and considerate while the other behaves in a difficult or aggressive manner. Think of the typical sales guy as manager. This is classic. Still happens. I get people offering in the husband and wife teams. Okay, so how do you handle that? Joe, you're in the hot seat now. How do you, what's your sort of counter tactic?
That's a good question, I'm not sure. If I can continue being positive and don't get dragged down by the bad guy. I don't know.
That's good. That's exactly the first start. I would just say, like, just keep asking them questions, you know what I mean? And say, what does your client really want? Like, forget the good guy, bad guy kind of thing. What does your client want? You know? Well, he wants only this. Really? Does he not? He wants the house though, right? So we're trying to get the sellers to agree. So kind of stop them from their own little game. A little bit of, we get it. We know you want to represent your seller or your buyer. It's all good. It's totally good. And we know that you want it. But I also know that I got to sell it to my clients too. And let's just get down to the bottom line. That's what I would say. Because they do that, by the way. It's just like the cops, literally like the cops. Positioning is good, is moving both parties to each other to reach a full agreement. Roberta, you get to read the reds.
Okay, acknowledge and affirm the common ground, ask what and how questions, positioning is a process, know when to walk away.
Any other ones? No. What I like about this is how, what, what questions, right? That's what they say, to better understand the other party's values and why certain. So we're right on the right track here, you guys. We're asking the right questions. What is important to you about the closing in 30 days? This is a good example. My client is defensive. You would explain, my goal is to let the buyer know why this is important to you. So you do want to sort of make it a little bit more of have more of a context. You know what I mean? Like explain a little bit of the backstory. So whenever I'm presenting an offer, I will always give a bit of a backstory for the buyer. Well, they're this and this is where they work, or maybe not, or this is stuff that you think that won't totally influence them, but give them a little bit of confidence. They've been pre-approved, they have a young son, this is their first house, they're in a condo now, they know how much the condo is going to sell for, it's all prepared, we're all ready to go, like, just give them a little bit of positivity. Part of this, your client becomes defensive, my goal is to let the thing. Now, see how it says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're requesting a 30-day closing. What's important to you about that? The sellers don't answer. Remember the whole quiet zip it? Let you answer it for them. So what do you say? I mean, it's classic. So how come your clients are selling? What's the answer? What do you say to them? Because people ask me this all the time.
Why are my clients selling?
Mhm.
Because they're looking to downsize, they're looking to upsize, it just depends on the situation.
I always say they're exploring all their options. They've got some ideas, some plans. They're excited, but they don't know for sure how much it's worth and whether they're going to sell. And, you know what I mean? But I'm very vague, super vague.
You couldn't tell them anything.
Exactly. Looking at all their options.
Well, they're getting divorced.
Exactly. Or they bought another house, or, like they're being transferred or whatever. All these sorts of things. Or it's an investment property and they're tired and sick and tired of it. Your turn positioning. Choose a partner. One person will play the buyer agent and the other will play the listing agent. Take a few minutes to review the scenario and information. Using what you've learned so far, take 1 to 2 minutes to prepare for the negotiation. Present your case to your partner and practice positioning. So we're into this P thing. Prepare, present, and position. Scenario is the home has 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and listed at $350 in a well-established neighborhood. The house requires new carpeting throughout the first floor and a new garage door opener. 3 offers have been made, but we're all below asking. The buyers are making an offer for $340. They have been pre-approved. The buyers would like to close in the shortest time possible since they're moving from out of state and need a home for their family. Since they're leaving their appliances in their current home, the buyers would also like all of the appliances to be included. And the sellers have raised their family in the home and have many friends and family in the area. Since their children are now grown, they no longer need the amount of space that their current home provides and have purchased a home in Florida. There's motivation right there. They would like to give all the appliances to their daughter who's just gone through a divorce. They will not be moving until they've sold their current house, and although they would like to get to Florida as soon as possible, they're ready to stand their ground. Oh, goodness. Okay, who wants to be the buyer agent? So we're going to split up. I'll be the buyer agent and you two get to work together. The experienced ones duking it out. Okay, what are we? Who's the buyer agent, listing agent? So we're going to have to prepare, present, and position.
So one of us
Hot
is the listing
potato.
agent and one of us is the seller?
Correct.
Is that- Okay.
Oh gosh.
So basically, as the buyer agent, you're trying to get the deal for $340, and as the listing agent, you're trying to get it for $350.
Okay. And you're the buyer agent?
No, I'm going to be your person. What do you want to be, buyer's agent or listing agent?
Buyer's agents, okay.
All right, what do you guys want to be? Well, buyer agent or listing agent? Joe,
Yeah,
you want to start with buyer agent?
I'm buyer.
All right. So then, the buyer agent role, they've been pre-approved. The buyers would like to close in the shortest amount of time possible since they're moving from out of state and need a home for their family. And they're leaving their appliances in their current home, so they would also like, so it's $340 and they want all the appliances. Good luck. $340 and they want all the appliances. You want to keep the appliances.
Yes.
Okay, so prepare, present, and position. Do you want to go in the other room so we're not bothering them? Bring me your offer. What are we going to do? How are you going to win me over?
Okay, so I believe that 3-4 is it's a great offer.
Well, tell me about your client first.
My clients.
Present me the offer.
Okay. Well, my clients have 2 children, and
Okay.
it's in their school district, and they really love your home. And here's the offer.
And they've got 2 kids?
They-
What did you
yeah,
say?
they have- Yeah, they have 2 kids.
Okay. And it's
their
in the school district.
Yeah. So here's the offer.
Mhm.
It's only conditions only on the financing, and they've been pre-approved.
Mhm.
All all is good there.
Mhm.
We just need 5 days for the banks, and we are offering 340.
Mhm.
And so only conditions.
And short closing?
financing. Short closing is like a month,
Mhm.
30 days, because they already sold, and so well, I don't know if I should say that, but anyways,
Mhm.
that's out. They need to.
They're
pay-
moving from out of
yeah,
town.
They're moving from out of town.
Mhm.
Okay, and they would love all appliances because they're moving from out of town. So yeah, that's our offer. And the comparables that are we're pretty much offering what the house sold next door.
Mhm.
It was also around 340.
You're just adding a little flourish in there, right? Well, I don't know if they're talking to me or not. Okay, so my clients, as you know, are at 350. They're not really interested in getting rid of their appliances. They would like to keep the appliances. They would like to take the appliances. How much do your clients like this house?
Well, they like the house, they like the street, but you know how it is with appliances. It's like even for your client,
Mm-hmm.
it may be more costly to
Mhm.
take those appliances out and buying new ones
Right.
for themselves, right?
Right.
Because they're heavy, so it would be easier probably for your clients too to just leave the appliances in the house.
Okay. But having to buy new ones also comes with money, right? So it's going to cost them quite a bit of money to buy new ones. It's maybe less hassle, but it's cash, whereas this is not cash for your people. And the house next door, I know it was for 340, but this is nice, right? It's a little bit prettier. They took a little bit better care of it, all that kind of stuff.
Well, this house is perfect for my clients, so
So my clients could give you the closing date,
okay.
okay? I'll have to talk to them about the appliances.
Is it worth, getting them out of there? They're not even new.
Okay, so what if we gave them their closing date, give them the appliances, but we stick with the listing price? And that's it.
That's it?
That's it. It's a good house.
No, it's,
They'll love the neighborhood. We've lived there my clients have lived there for years and loved it. They've got tons of family and friends they can introduce them. They'll love the school district. It's a wonderful place to raise their children, you know that.
yeah.
And it's like totally done. Like they're moving in exactly when they want to move in. The appliances are there. It's easier to get financing than it is to anything else. They've been pre-approved already.
Yeah, so that's all plus, right? And there is no condition on home inspection, you know how it is, sometimes the home inspector find little things and then they wanna reduce the price here. This, you know, it's they will get 340, you know, so sometimes after the home inspection, the buyers still want to reduce the price, and even though they agreed to 350 in the beginning, and then, you know, they come back and they want to reduce
But
the
it's
price.
still conditional on financing.
It is, but they have been pre-approved, so they're confident that they, you know.
So you don't
won't
think
have
that
no
they would
problem.
go for it with knowing they can move in a month and knowing they'll get the appliances and they'll know they're in the right school district and they'll know they're in the neighborhood they want to be in?
Is there, can we split this 10,000, half and half? Like, can
Not
see
plus the
it?
appliances.
Not plus the appliances?
No. They'll give the appliances though.
They will give appliances, but they want 10,000 more,
They want their list price.
the list price.
That's what the clients saw it at. It's a great house in a great neighborhood and they'll love it forever and always.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's like done. Boom. Bob's your uncle.
So
They can stop looking. They don't have to like stress about it anymore.
Yes, that's true, but they also, you know, they also want 340 because of the house next door that sold for 3. So
I know,
they
but
will
this
have
one's
to pay-
nicer.
They will have to pay 10,000 more than the other house.
Yeah, but we're giving you the appliances and your closing date.
There were also appliances there.
Don't be making stuff up.
So, okay.
In fact, the other house didn't have appliances. Okay.
So, okay, so it's 340 and appliances.
Yeah, and they can move in and they don't have to look anymore. And I'm telling you, they will love this neighborhood. They grew up there too. They raised their kids. They loved it. We had a big fight on our hands. That was fun. Okay, what did we figure out? Ahas. What was the final agreement? What did you guys agree to? Anything? Did we get the deal?
We would split the new appliances.
What does that mean, split appliances?
So if, because the appliances are, my clients want to keep the appliances so they can give them to their daughter. And his clients need the appliances.
Right?
So I said, why don't we split the cost of new appliances? So say new appliances are $5,000. You know, we would split the $2,500 between the buyer and the seller. And then the buyer would get all new appliances. And how nice would that be?
How nice would that be? And what about the price? One is $340 and one's $350.
The price, yeah, so we never really talked.
I need
had
to go
go
back
to
to
the
the appliance.
And what about the closing date?
Oh, the closing date, well, the 30 days is not really an issue because they want to go to Florida and have their house in Florida, so a quick closing would have been fine, so we could accommodate the closing, but the price had to be, you know, would have had to be closer to the 350.
So we ended up having what, you want to say what happened?
I think it's a win-win situation. The sellers got the price, but no appliances, and the buyers got appliances, the closing date that they needed it. So, I mean, the school district that they really want to be in the area.
There you go.
Okay.
So basically, I stressed that the sellers, you know, had grown up in the neighborhood and this was the, you know, home for their family. So we were like, I'm like, this is the home for your family. This is your buyers. They may be paying a little bit more than they want to pay, but this is the home for their family, right? They've raised their children there. They have friends and family in the neighborhood. They're willing to give you your closing date. They're going to, you know, they want the appliances, but they will negotiate on the appliances because it says sort of in here that they would like to give, but they stand their ground on regarding the price. So I wasn't able to give anything on the price, but I was able to give on the appliances. And your argument was they're used appliances, they're a hassle to move, and of course they're expensive to buy again, which is,
Yeah.
so then I was like, but they're expensive to buy again and cash is king and all that stuff. So we tried to sort of, or I tried to make them valuable, you know what I mean? As part of the value, like, well, yes, $340, but appliances. So it's interesting, eh?
Julie, I would just like to know if they reversed.
Yes,
What would you do different in my situation?
I think you did well. I thought you did a really good job.
Yeah?
Yeah. You were, showing that they were good buyers because they had been pre-approved, right? And that you were putting, you got the appliances quite well or quite easily. I thought you did a good job.
Anything,
The price?
anything you would do differently? Would you push for their price reduction?
No, I think you do have to kind of go back to your clients a little bit, but I think that it ended up the way it should have ended up. I mean, I was sort of trying to push hard, but I thought you pushed back pretty hard too. But we were both trying to win for our clients, but without pissing each other off. You know what I mean? We're like, I get it, but exactly. I totally hear ya. Okay, your turn to negotiate the counter offer. So put what you have learned to the test. Choose a different partner from the previous activity. One person will play the buyer agent, the other will play the listing agent. Oh, we're counter offering. Okay. Prepare, present your case, and practice positioning. Go back and forth 2 times, both aiming to arrive at win-win agreement. So we found the house that they love. The buyer has found the house and it's in the neighborhood they want. It's at the top of their price range and does need some work updating the kitchen and master bathroom. Your client makes an offer on the property and the seller agent says, I must warn you that we've gotten several offers and your offer is pretty low. Sounds typical. Your sellers need to move within 45 days due to a job transfer. You feel that the house is priced competitively. You're aware the house needs updating, but the sellers don't see the need because the house was just fine for them. There have been multiple offers. The other offers are still standing, but the timing may not work for the seller. And the latest offer is lower than the asking price. You have let the buyer's agent know, I must warn you that we've gotten several offers and your offer is pretty low. Time, 30 minutes? Are you kidding me? Okay, Joe.
Just discuss as a group.
No. We are switching. You guys can go into the other room.
Okay.
Joe, you get to be my partner.
Oh.
Okay, do you want to be
I
this?
haven't really negotiated with you, so
Yeah.
I'm not good at it.
This is, but you're learning, right? That's why we do it in
I'll be the buyer agent.
a fake scenario, so you get, yeah, you guys switch. So, they have the house that they love, it's in the neighborhood they want, it's at the top of their price range and needs some work. We've gotten several offers and your offer is pretty low.
So is it top of the buyer's price range?
Yeah. And the sellers need to move within 45 days due to a job transfer. And the house is pretty competitively priced. It obviously is if there's lots of offers. You're aware the house needs updating, but the sellers don't see the need. There have been multiple offers, but the timing may not work. And the latest offer is lower than the asking price. Because let the buyer's agent. I must warn you. Okay, do you want to be the buyer's agent or seller's agent?
Buyers, I guess.
Okay. You ready, Mariana?
It's a lot of information to take in, like to remember all that.
I know.
Okay.
So,
I understand you're entertaining other offers.
so can you present your offer to me? Pretend you've got an offer when you come into my office or into the house and you present it to me and the sellers. What's the first thing you say?
Okay, is there a backstory there? Do they tell you it's a couple
No.
or same people?
No, yeah, they don't tell you anything. You can make it up.
All right. I have a young family with 2 kids. They
are entertaining a couple of offers, but they like your property, they are interested in, and they want to put an offer into your property. I feel like I'm giving,
No, this is it. And say they love the house, but it's at the top of the price range.
okay, they love the house, but it's in the top of the price range. But they are willing to have a quick closing. We did a couple of comparables, and we've come up with a price which I hope you will agree will be fair. And there you go. The
Nice.
price is
They don't-
$450.
Is that how much it says? Does it say the price on there?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
Okay, okay. So you know that we've had several offers. Thank
Yes.
you for your offer, by the way. We appreciate it. And for a little bit of background, you know we've had several offers. So your offer is a little bit low.
I understand that. I can understand what you're saying. My clients are willing, or are pre-approved. They have a firm offer, and they're willing to close in 30 days. I hope that will satisfy your clients. Where do you go from that?
Well, you're supposed to go back.
Do I tell them that they already, I mean, they
No,
are
no.
at the top of their budget. They've extended themselves as far as they can go.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I can take it back to my clients to see what they say.
Right.
But just as you know, they are they have extended themselves, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay, so I would say the closing works.
Okay, good.
So we've got, this is a really good start.
Okay.
I think that it's going to be hard for the sellers because they've got a couple of offers that they're looking at right now, and they literally are a bit more money, like quite a bit more money. So I'm going to have to go back to my people and discuss, whether, what their options are and how important it is.
I understand. There is work that, as you know, there is work to be done, and we have to factor that into what we're offering. And I hope no, I shouldn't say that. Hope no.
Yeah.
How would you say that?
I think,
Keep that in mind while you're discussing it with your clients.
right,
Work does need to be done.
yeah. So that's a good point. We can talk about that later, but that was well put. That was well put. Okay, so I've come back. My clients are willing to go with the closing, and they're willing to go down and meet you halfway. But that's it. No matter what, that's it. That's the last. That's all.
They're willing to go down with the price?
They're willing to split you the difference between the two, our listing price and your offer price. And because you're firm, we know it needs work,
Mm-hmm.
but the firmness helps, and we know how serious your buyers are, and it's just a little bit low.
Okay.
But they are willing to literally meet you halfway, and we got a deal.
Great.
Life is good.
Thank you for that. That'll be excellent news for my clients. Let me go back to them just to confirm that everything is acceptable to them, and I'm sure we can make a deal. So that seems reasonable to me.
So what
But I
you,
have to know that my clients will be willing to move up a little.
right, so you can't say that. So
No,
what you
okay,
have
so
to,
what could I say?
so what you would say is thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see what they say, and give me doubt. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
Give me doubt, and go. I don't know, it's at the top of their range, but I will present it to them.
Okay.
And I know that your clients have moved, so I appreciate that, but I don't know.
Okay. I don't know about that, but I'll take it back to them and we'll see what we can do.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
I need work on my
This is
negotiating.
good. This is good. I think you're learning. Do you think you're learning?
Yeah, yes. It's good to actually speak the word, like speak it out loud.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
right.
Then you have some kind of frame of reference to recall back.
Right.
But gotta admit, it's also a little nervous.
Of
Even
course.
though it's a scenario, it's still intimidating. It's
Yeah.
still nervous.
And you feel like you're representing them, right? You're like, oh, but you're getting
This
into
is
the
where
role.
you really need to know where they're coming from. Your
Right.
clients.
Yeah.
Get a sense of what they're.
Well, it's a house that they love and it's in the neighborhood they want,
Yeah.
right? So I guess the one last thing is if you come back and you say, I don't know what you would say, I don't know, and I would, I think the main thing that I probably should have said, or next time I will say, is we've had a lot of offers on the house. That means it's a popular property. It's a good, it's obviously in a good neighborhood. People really are, so long term and short term, this is a win for your people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When there's other interest, then you've got a good product.
Yeah.
And so you can sell that to your buyers and remind them that not all houses get multiple offers on them. And clearly,
It's a good fit for you guys.
Yeah.
We're considering moving up a bit.
Exactly. How'd it go?
We negotiated. Made up a price and all that, so,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Okay, so what was the end result?
I got a firm offer for my sellers.
Mm-hmm.
No conditions, the asking, the closing date for them.
$1,589,000.
Favorable. And- But only 5,000 they gave in for the 5,000 price.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So in a 600,000 home, they, went down 5,000, but they got the closing date.
Nice. Great. I think what Joe said, what did you say after doing the experience, after doing this?
Which part?
What were your ahas when we discussed it?
That it's still, you get a sense that you're representing them, but it's still nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit nervous to,
But you like the saying it out loud.
oh yeah, right, saying it out loud, yeah.
Like to actually role play, where you're actually doing this for something.
That's where I have to improve. I need to do much more role play.
Yeah. Because it really, like, these are real scenarios that could easily happen at any time, right? So we ended up with, we got a 30-day close, and we split the difference in price. And we reminded the buyers that a lot of people love this house, so it's a good property. But the sellers were more interested in the closing than anything else, Anyway, that was fun. Putting it all together. Action plan, prepare for your next class and recall. And remember, are we done early? It's only noon.
Oh, wow.
That's okay.
Oh my God, how awesome is that? I must be a great teacher. Attend negotiation training classes at your market center, region, or family reunion. Does everybody here know what family reunion is?
I hear people talking about it, but I have no clue what it is.
Okay, what have you heard?
It's, well, it's taking place in California
I think it's in California next year.
in February,
Mhm.
and it's, I don't know how many days. It's a conference. It's a KW conference. I think all of the offices from everywhere, right?
Yeah, worldwide.
Global? Yeah.
Hmm.
Just go and,
So family reunion is a conference. So I mean, that's the bottom line. Like,
yeah.
you don't know what it means. Like, it sounds like you might not know the wording, but why they call it family reunion is because it's intended to remind us how, you know what I mean? Like, that we are a family, that we're all sort of working for the same thing. So there's 2 big conferences a year. What's the other one?
Masters.
It's called Mega Camp.
Oh, Mega Camp, that's it.
Yeah. So family reunions in February, and Mega Camp, it's in August or September. Mega Camp is always in Austin, Texas, which is the headquarters of KW, whatever, International. It's where Gary Keller and his team is. So it's at a conference center, and Gary is on stage and he's interviewing people. So it's a big, huge format where we're all in a big arena kind of thing, or whatever, conference center, and we're all watching the same things. There's topics like tech, and then there's a whole bunch of top producers speaking about stuff, and then Family reunion is slightly different because you get to choose your own topic and they're very small rooms. So it would be like a room like this with a panel of 1 or 2 people, and they would speak for maybe 45 minutes and maybe take some questions and stuff like that. But there's like hundreds of them. So, you know, you're running around like little chickens going to your little thing, but there could be a million topics that you personally wanted to talk about. Like some people are into FISBOs, some people are into referral-based business, some people are building teams, some people are doing this, that, and the other thing, you know. Some people are new agents, and some people are veteran agents, and some people, whatever. They're doing market centers, you know, you want to own a franchise or whatever. But it's sort of like all day long, you kind of run around to the different, and then probably once a day for a couple of hours, there's a keynote speaker. Some are personal development, but they're both really great conferences. You pay for them yourself, you know, I mean, your skin in the game, as they call it, like it's your choice to go and learn and stuff, but they both are great opportunities of meeting people and learning all kinds of exciting stuff. Like there's, our little market center is one little example, but there's, you know, like the one in Newmarket, you know, the one that Marvin runs. Marvin is head of KW Canada. He has 200 agents in his office, so they're a little bit further along in their process. We have 100 and they have like 200, so it's twice as big. They're doing twice as much stuff. They have productivity coaches and stuff like that, so you learn what the potential is out there. Do you see what I mean? But they're really cool experiences. Do you guys go on for role playing and stuff like that? Have you been doing much role playing? How?
Over the phone with role play calling or, you know.
With who?
Knocking with my partner. Like your.
Oh, you have a partner?
I have Karma, okay?
Oh, so you're like,
Yeah, we call each other in the morning, most mornings.
oh, you do?
We role play.
Good for you. Joe, that's a great idea. So do you know anybody new in the office here? Have you met anybody in this group?
Well, I met them, but no.
So,
How to set up a partner, which I probably should do.
well, you could do. I always use the word could instead of should. Should is like, it feels like you have to do it and you don't really want to do it, and I really should do that, and I never called that person, I should really call them. Instead of could, which is like, I could do that. That's cool. I'm into that. I could. But nobody's telling me I have to do it. You see what I mean? I'm not like yelling at myself going, you know, I could call that client. I'm like, yeah, I could. Or I might not, but I could. And that is my choice. Do you see what I mean? My whole team is always like being voluntold. They don't like being voluntold. It's sort of like, would you like to do this? And then they choose whether they want to do it or not. So a suggestion last year, I guess I got, last fall when we were doing business planning. So there's lots of courses outside of this office, you know that? Some of the other brokerages downtown or wherever, they have speakers come in. Some speakers come from other parts of the country or the US. So we went to a really great business planning meeting. Gene Rivers is a great teacher. He came last. Did you go to that one?
Yes,
It was really good.
that's what, after that,
You got Carmel.
I asked Karma. if
Yeah,
she wants to do
so did I.
it. Really?
I asked Belinda. So Belinda's my partner. So every Monday morning at 9:30 we meet and we talk about our 411s on the phone. We do. Do you guys know what 411s are?
No, I don't.
Really? Oh, goodness gracious, you're little newbies. So 411s are one of the most helpful KW forms that they've sort of created, and it's 4 weeks. It's 4 weeks and then, you know, a month and then a year. So basically it says, what are your annual goals? And then what are your monthly goals? And how are you going to hit your monthly goals based on, you know, on your 4 weeks? So you sort of write out what you're going to do that month to hit your monthly goal, but you break it down into the weeks. So every week you kind of look at your little 411 and go, oh yeah, I remember. And then every week you're reviewing your monthly goal and your annual goal. And the more you keep reviewing your goals, the more likely you are to, you know, achieve them. And you get personal and business. So every week we review our goals together and we talk about them.
We started with every Monday, 8 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
at Starbucks, 1 hour, because exactly 1 hour,
Yeah, I know, he's
After
big on the,
9 o'clock, you have to pay parking, so. then step
that's
out.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect, it's perfect. But then we started talking about role playing, and now
Right.
for months, we call each other, I call her at 8:45, and we role play, exchange ideas for 15 minutes, and then whatever, like we go door knocking or calling or whatever.
Right, good for you.
But yeah, 411 every Monday.
So can everybody tell that Mariana is very purposeful on her business here and how you're like, you are trying.
Intent.
You're intentional. Yes, you're in, and it's quite inspiring, don't you think? Like, we can all do this, right? We can all go and meet somebody in Starbucks at 8 o'clock on Mondays, or call at 8:45 and do your role playing and stuff like that. You just have to actually do it.